Each year at the Ethical Society, we organize our programs around a theme. Our theme this year is exploring the human condition, and we've many fascinating and diverse platforms scheduled for you in the coming months. Today, our speaker is someone we all know. She's contributed to the Society in many ways, from serving as president to countless volunteer activities to benefit the membership and the community. In fact, we saw her on this very stage last week. And I want to add even more about Crystal White, who identifies as a servant leader and can be found around the Society chairing platform, singing in the Justice Choir or with the Ethical Band, and coordinating various service projects. In the recent past, she's co-chaired the End Racism team and served on the boards of the Ethical Society Nursery School, Abortion Action Missouri, then Narrow, Pro-Choice Missouri, and the Uganda Humanist Schools Trust. She endeavors to put her ethics into daily action and to do good with the time she has and her energy. Please welcome Crystal White.
Thanks for your patience while I got set up. And goodness, thank you for that introduction, Don. I am both flattered and humbled by your kind words. And thanks to Don and East. Good cheer is a Herculean amount of work for one person, y'all. So seriously, let's all step up and help our CEO out. Actually, can we just go ahead and give Donna like a rousing thank you for doing this forever? I am so grateful to Donna and her elves for all of their hard work and for innovating and adapting this tradition for us. So thank you. Don't forget to RSVP. See you there. Okay. So as was said, I'm Crystal White. I use she, her pronouns, and I have a long history of volunteering with the Ethical Society. Surprisingly enough, this is my third Sunday in a row standing on this stage and claiming a microphone, and I honestly don't like the sound of my voice this much. And I promise that next week I'll just be seated out there where I belong, like normal. Seriously and truly though, I'm honored to be given this time and space with you today. Earlier, you were asked to pull out your phones and to put them on silent. Now, I'm going to encourage you to pull out your phones, still on silent people, and go to menti.com. That is menti.com, and enter the join code that's on the screen, 82269202. You also can just use the QR code that's up there. You can do that if you're here in person, or if you're streaming this talk from elsewhere. So please go ahead and join in. You're going to be prompted with a multiple choice question, which is, which core value resonates with you the most? I bet you didn't anticipate that today's platform was going to have some sort of interactive features, did you? But I want to hear from you. And it's hard to do that in this particular space sometimes. And really, I want folks to be able to hear from each other as well. So again, Menti, menti.com, join code 82269202, and select the core value that speaks to you the most. I'll give you another moment to do that. Those of you that are there, it may be a little visually busy, and actually the website suggested that I strike some text, but I couldn't imagine eliminating a core value to make the visual approach easier, so just bear with. You're getting them all in small font. Okay, let's see what resonates with this crowd. So taking a look. The most votes at the moment is, I am a member of the world community, which depends upon the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. Tied with, I strive to live my values. If you haven't had a chance to go ahead and log in yours, please go ahead and do so. Thank you. We've got a good mix, and it's clear that folks are here for different reasons. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to pull this down now. The core values inspire me each time I hear them. And I've been a member here, and as I've grown up, the value that resonated most with me has changed over time. It used to be, I'm free to question, or maybe I'm free to choose what I believe, because I desired a connected community of people that did not require a belief in God or gods to participate in it. I, like maybe some of you, had some emotional scars related to religion, and I wanted the person-to-person and person-to-community connection without all of the dogma baggage. That's what motivated me to join the Ethical Society originally. Then, as my emotional scars healed, partly due to this community, my central value migrated to, I accept responsibility for my choices and actions. Reflecting on my impact on the world around me, whether it was positive, negative, or neutral, and then taking ownership of my own behaviors was essential for me as I developed as a volunteer, a leader, an activist, and frankly, just as a decent human being. And now I'm all about the last one, like many of you. I strive to live my values. I love the active nature of it. It's moving past individual thought and is a rallying call to walk the walk rather than just talking the talk. Striving to live my values is what motivated me to join the Justice Choir when it came to St. Louis. It's why I organized last week's Thanksgiving service platform, and it's why I'm speaking to you today about the Uganda Humanist Schools Trust. Putting our ethics into action is why I'm here each week with you. And I believe that an exemplar of the Ethical Society community putting its ethics into action is through our continued annual support of Ugandan girls and their education. Now, last week, my daughter Lola gave opening words, and she shared about her family's history of community service and how it's centered from a place of gratitude. And before we get too far into this talk, I think we should center ourselves into gratitude too. So, do you still have your phone out? Because I'm going to give you another question. The question is, what are we grateful for today? Now, the submitted responses are going to show up on the screen in a word cloud, so I'm giving you a little bit of instructions before I unlock it for you. Give me a moment. The word cloud operates that the words with more responses will occupy more space on the screen, and to make it work, I suggest using a single word to occupy your overall idea. So, to summarize, I'm grateful for the organizing work of Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer, and other civil rights activists of the past and present day. I might just summarize and write activists or freedom for that big idea. I thank you in advance for sharing and for reading what the people around you are grateful for. And if you want to toss out more than one word today, that's okay. You can be grateful for multiple things. Yes, it's probably a little hard to read up top. It is 8226-9202. Apologies for that. You all, look at all that we're grateful for today. This is incredible. I'll give you another 4 seconds. Thank you. I will leave this up, but I'm not going to leave it up here. I'll screen capture it and put it in the Facebook channel for us to have for later. So, like you, I'm grateful for family and friends, for community, for economic and physical security, education, good health, dogs. I'm also grateful that I was a female born here in the United States. And I recognize that that's kind of a cheat. It's way too long to put up in the word cloud. And don't get me wrong, I recognize that the United States has its share of problems, its healthy share of problems. But here I had a social safety net. I never worried about the quality of my drinking water. I was guaranteed free schooling from kindergarten through high school. I could receive financial support from others to be able to attend university. And while I had chores, no one ever suggested that I drop out of school to take care of my younger siblings. I recognized it was my random genetic luck to be born here in this country, in this incredible place of privilege, and that positioned me to have access to all these wonderful educational opportunities and freedoms. So I encourage you to hold our ethical society core values and your personal and our collective instances of gratitude in front of mind while we discuss the Uganda Humanist Schools Trust. So as you know, the Ethical Society community has been financially supporting students at Uganda schools for over a decade now. The relationship was established through the hard work and dedication of member Ed Schmidt and then leader Kate Lovelady. And then after they both moved on, it was important to this entire community that we continue the connection and provide funding for girls' education. UHST aligns with our core values. Our US dollars carry farther when converted into Ugandan shillings. There's notable transparency with UHST and how the monies are spent, and the Humanist School's impact has been transformational for a generation of students, their families, the schools, and their surrounding communities. The Trust financially supports 4 humanist schools in Uganda. Mustard Seed, which has a primary and secondary school, Isaac Newton, also with a primary and secondary school, and then 2 primary schools, Katumba and Kanungu. Also, just to provide some clarity on the Ugandan schooling system, because it's different than ours, students complete primary 1 through 7, and then they take their primary leaving exam. The highest score on that exam is a 1 out of 5. And 1 is the score that was required to receive a scholarship from UHST for secondary studies. Secondary studies are senior 1 through 4, which is sort of the equivalent of high school. At the end of senior 4, students take their O-level exams. And then senior 5 and 6 is the pursuit of A-levels, which are a specialized course of pre-university study, and in rural Uganda is typically only pursued by the best of the academic best. This actually is the first year that the Ethical Society has continued support of scholarship students in their A-level pursuits. Paying teacher salaries and other staff costs is the main expense of running the humanist schools, and the scholarship payments made by UHST supporters make a substantial contribution towards the staffing costs for the humanist secondary schools. And note that I said secondary schools there because scholarships are not offered to primary school students. Because all of these schools are in areas of uniform poverty, where all families are struggling as subsistence farmers. So all kiddos are equally needy, and evaluating young children on their academic ability before they've even had a chance to go to school is just profoundly unfair. Instead, UHST awards scholarships to learners who earn a grade 1 in their primary leaving certificate and who need a special assistance because they're double orphans or they have a struggling single parent or just other significant challenge. And I will name that earning a 1 on the primary leaving exam occurs for only 6% of Ugandan students. So it's a high bar that we've set. In 2023, for this past school year that ends this month, we are sponsoring a record 36 female students with full board and tuition scholarships. 3 of those students are senior 1 students receiving some extra funds for transportation, school supplies, and mattresses. And 8 of them are senior 5 learners pursuing their A-level studies. Additionally, the Ethical Society provides reusable menstrual products for all menstruating students in the primary and secondary schools that you've heard about so far. Last year, I reported out on my firsthand experience of being in Uganda, seeing the schools, attending the lessons, meeting with the students, and discussing curriculum with the teachers. I did not go to Uganda this summer, unfortunately. So this year, I compiled information from the school director reports, the Uganda Humanist Schools Trust website, and emails that I've received from the school directors. Okay, let's begin with the update. With Kanungu Humanist Primary School to start us off. So Robert Magara is the founder and director of Kanungu Humanist Primary School. The origin story of this school is heartbreaking. An evangelical preacher poisoned 800 local families who had joined his congregation. Then he locked them in his church and burned them to death. So Robert's motivation for setting up his school was to help his community overcome the wounds from this horrific atrocity. Even so, the school has faced opposition from local evangelical Christian churches. In fact, the main local church urged its congregation to boycott the new humanist school. So I would name that the core values of I can learn from everyone and I am free to choose what I believe resonate pretty strongly here, because Kanungu welcomes children from all faith backgrounds and educates them in a secular environment. Uganda Humanist Schools Trust has helped Robert Magara and his school with funds to build classrooms, provide access to power, water, and toilets, have books and learning materials, and has supplied food and firewood for cooking. In 2022, Kanungu had 136 students. This year, they have 212 learners. And that's a notable growth in the student body, especially considering the community environment. And Magara is feeling pretty optimistic about the school's future. They also won the district football championship and competed in Mbara national competition, which was very exciting. This month, all primary 7 students will sit for their primary leaving examinations, and the district mock exams have showed very positive preliminary results. And I look forward to their continued growth and success. Next up is Katumba Parents Humanist Primary School. So if you recall, this school formed in community response to the 2016 insurrection and death of 100 young men from that area. The children of those fallen attend Katumba Parents Humanist Primary School for free. And although Katumba is in one of the poorest and most remote locations in Uganda, it has a remarkable reputation and substantial local community investment and commitment. It has an all-star organizational team, too, of school director Juma Sirwao, site manager and engineer Alicia Sabadu, and head teacher Hassan Mate. They've created a school with 750 primary age students across 2 campuses. So the original campus had 250 children. And they have a new school site as well, 3 kilometers away. And there was an initial fear that enrollment numbers would fall, just because 3 kilometers away is a far distance to walk. But they found that children have been more than willing to walk to the new school, and many new kids have been attracted to this first brick-built school in the area. Katoomba Parents Humanist Primary School is at maximum capacity. There is no boarding at Katoomba. There are enough nearby children for it to operate as a day school serving the local community. So all children walk to and from school, with some kids walking 6 or 7 kilometers in each direction. So to reduce the number of very young children needing to walk, the littlest ones are still attending kindergarten classes on the old site. Now, when I visited in summer 2022, the primary school finances were in a pretty poor state. Almost half of the students were not paying fees, and the school struggled to cover the cost of teacher salaries and feeding the students. Again, how do you turn away kids who want to learn? But the model was unsustainable, and it risked the survival of the school. So to restore financial stability in 2023, the parent governors raised tuition fees. Good primary leaving exam results of the 30 children who took exams last November, 8 of them gained the top grade of a 1, and then everyone else got a grade 2, which is pretty spectacular. And then combined with that gorgeous looking set of buildings, made parents eager to scrape together the funds they forego other needs to be able to educate their children at this school. So again, this community is invested in the education of their children, but as the children are getting older, the parents are wondering what happens next. There's not a secondary school in the area, and only a few parents can afford the substantial increase in tuition to send to a boarding school, with the closest one being 17 kilometers away. So they'd have to pay for transportation too. UHST supporters have done their best to help. They are funding scholarships to educate 22 children from Katoomba to attend humanist secondary schools. We here at Ethical are funding 3 of these learners with transportation and mattress monies to supplement their tuition and boarding costs. But let's be clear, that option is expensive and it's unsustainable because it can't scale to the collective needs of 750 primary school learners. So as a result, UHST and the Katoomba Management Committee are raising funds to create a Katoomba secondary school so that the children can continue learning through their O levels in their local community. The community benefits to that would be huge, but it's an incredible undertaking to mount a capital campaign in such an impoverished area. They need roughly $80,000 to be able to expand, and most of those funds have to come from outside the Bundabugyo community. I am hopeful for Katoomba, and I hope to have positive results to be able to share with you next year about that campaign. Next up is Mustard Seed, both primary and secondary schools. So the Ethical Society has a long history and connection with Mustard Seed schools and with Director Moses Kamya, and we provide direct scholarships to students in the secondary school there. So if you recall, Mustard Seed incorporated a primary school that closed due to COVID, and this year they had 160 primary school students. Mustard Seed has substantially more secondary school students, 550 this year, because the secondary school has been long established in the community, whereas the primary school, as a humanist school anyway, is a more recent addition. Regardless, the goal is for the primary school students to feed into Mustard Seed Secondary as they progress through their schooling. Mustard Seed continues to improve academically. December 2022 saw the first cohort of students taking their primary leaving examination, and all 15 children earned one of the top 2 grades, while 3 learners earned the highest score of a 1. In the 2022 O levels, 10 students gained the top Division I grade across 7 subjects, and 32 gained a good Division II and all 18 A-level candidates qualified to join higher institutions at university. And that is great results for a rural community. And when I was in Uganda last summer, I saw how mustard seed had increased class sizes as a cost-saving measure. As the school regains a stronger financial footing, it's made efforts to decrease the number of students per class section. And part of the boys' dormitory has been renovated with a ceiling and floor, painting, and window repair, and that provides a higher level of comfort and safety for these learners. And the water supply to the girls' dorm has been restored, and the kitchen cooking stoves at the secondary schools have been improved. And these are important quality of life improvements as well as cost-saving measures. When I talked with the students last year, they, like nearly all children, were interested in sharing about their meals and their athletic activities. So this year, the kids were proud to share that in addition to posho and beans, they get white rice and sweet potatoes and cassava and green vegetables, and they're thrilled about all of that. Additionally, we've got more sports news. The girls' football team were in the Kamuli District Champions. They progressed in the regional tournament up to semifinals, and the primary school boys team won the Southern Division competition in Kamuli Municipality. I remember seeing kiddos last year kicking around their soccer balls in the large open field in front of the school, and it's exciting that their results are leading to such success. Additionally, the primary and secondary schools have scouting troops, and the scouting troops from both schools won trophies in the district camping competitions, and they competed in the national camping competitions this past year, and this is one of the girls' teams at their competition. Moses Kamia reports that there's a significant improvement in the ability and willingness of local families to pay the required school fees, and that's really important. Mustard Seed has increasingly become like the school of choice in the local area, and there's competition to get children into the school, which means that those fees get paid on time. And the high performance of the student body increases the school standing in the Kamuli district, and that appeals to local families and attracts more high-performing boarding learners from a wider geographic distance. Overall, these academic successes over the past few years have resulted in the collected fees from the local community nearly covering the school's basic running costs. And upon hearing that, you may wonder whether we're going to continue supporting Mustard Seed students with scholarships. And the answer is yes. Yes, we are. In addition to aiding the needy and worthy scholarship students themselves by sending them to school, we're sending them to one of the better academic schools in the area. That's incredible. Additionally, the scholarship income helps to gradually improve staff salaries, and that allows the school to attract and retain skilled educators, and that's a boon for all students, not just the ones receiving scholarships. Okay, the last school we're going to talk about today is Isaac Newton. So Isaac Newton Humanist School is the other school we have supported directly with scholarship dollars. The school opened in 2005. And in its early years, the school had a single building and a few teachers who did their best to offer basic education to orphans in an area decimated by HIV and AIDS. The school had only 30 students in 2008 when UHST began supplying some funds for books, and then little by little, UHST has been able to help school director Peter Cassandra expand the school to its present circumstances of over 1,000 children total in the primary and secondary schools. 1,000 from 30. It's amazing. In 2022, the school ranked 4th out of 36 schools in the greater Masaka City District O-level performance. Of the 85 students who took their O-level exams, 45% earned a grade 1 across 7 subjects. Nationally, only 12% of students do that, and 45% of our learners did. And another 45% earned a grade 2. Those are phenomenal results, but friends, it gets better. The school had a record-breaking 52 students take their A-level exams. 9 earned the highest grades, and 6 of those students had performances that made them eligible for full government university scholarships. Isaac Newton is the top school for A-level students in the Masaka area. Out of 21 A-level schools, Isaac Newton is the highest performing. And it's the top 1.5% of schools nationally for its physics and agricultural studies. The exceptional science curriculum has attracted more and more students to stay for their A-levels, and I would say that the performances clearly speak for themselves. In 2023, this school year, Isaac Newton had 299 primary school students, 723 secondary school students. This week had primary school kindergarten graduation. Look at that cutesy photo of kindergartners in graduation gear. I know. The school is intentionally incorporating important traditions as they adapt into a school where a student could attend from baby class up to senior 6. Other notable developments at Isaac Newton include completion of the primary school library and the reading room, refurbishment of the girls' dorm and the secondary school, and rebuilding the 3 kitchen stoves. Consumption of firewood has fallen to 1/4 its previous levels, which is environmentally great for the environment, and is a sizable cost-saving measure for the school. The school did a capital campaign this year and yielded sufficient money to begin building a block of 3 teachers' houses for the head teacher, deputy head teacher, and a mathematics teacher. The next planned developments for the school include a large self-directed study space, graded land for a new playing field, and studio spaces. Dawn is doing the hint. I'm not leaving this podium, you all. I'm taking the next 3 minutes. Is that okay with you? That's great. Thank you so much. You can have a seat right there. Okay. 2023 has not been without its challenges. Climate change has increased the frequency of droughts and ferocity of storms in Uganda, and this has caused costly and substantial physical damage to every school. Associated crop failure has hit farm incomes and left the humanist schools to cope with a shortfall in income from parents. The war in Ukraine, coupled with inflation, has made supplies more expensive. These economic challenges persist in Uganda. Even so, the humanist schools and their directors are bright spots of hope, and they inspire me to do more good with every philanthropy dollar that I have. So the Ethical Society community currently supports 36 female secondary school students, including Christine, who you may remember from last year. And we support them with full boarding scholarships at $525 a year and provide reusable menstrual supplies for all menstruating students in the primary and secondary schools. And if you feel moved to give today, you can write a check to the Ethical Society with UHST in the memo line. You can use the QR code right now to donate through PayPal. Nancy Jelenic in the office would happily receive your email authorizing an ACH withdrawal, and if you have that set up for your pledge. And if you want to donate cash for the effort, I ask that you please do not put it in the baskets. That will pass in just a little bit. There's a bin or basket out on the front table. You can do it there. And my understanding is that all funds from today's First Sunday lunch may also be coming to the trust. Donations of any size help us continue this strong relationship, so please consider giving generously. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this community, and I'm grateful we're able to collectively put our ethics into action and assist people around the globe. I'm happy to talk with you further about these efforts after platform, because I'm running out of time, and I thank you for your longstanding commitment to humanist education. Thank you.
That was a moving and inspirational platform. Thank you. Members of the Welcome Team will now take up a collection to support the Society.